Welcome back, webheads, to the next episode of Spidey Swing-Bys. I'm your host, Christian Ashley of Systematic Geekology, as I continue on through every chronological appearance of Spider-Man by release order. Today, we're doing Amazing Spider-Man number 17, him facing off against the Green Goblin in the second appearance of the Green Goblin with the special guest star, the Human Torch. But before we can go into the comic proper, we need to give some proper attributes to it. This was written in week 28, 1964. The release date was July 9th, 1964. The story name is The Return of the Green Goblin. Now, into the nitty gritty, we get to this was ruggedly written by Stan Lee, robustly drawn by Steve Ditko, and recently lettered by Sam Rosen. This, of course, was penciled by and inked by Steve Ditko and edited by Stan Lee as well. So, what else was going on in Marvel this month? Well, plenty. We have the second Fantastic Four annual, where we get into the backstory for the first time, really, of Doctor Doom's origins and how he got to be where he is, how he got in control of Latveria and all that. A very fun story for him and everyone involved. Really, really enjoyed reading that one. It's well worth your time. I probably said it about everything, but throw a little grace my way. Next up, we have Journey into Mystery 108, where continuing from last time, we have Thor teaming up with Doctor Strange to fight against Loki as he continues his machinations against his, brother. A very fun issue. Then we have Tales to Astonish 60, shaking up the entire title, where instead of just being a Giant Man and Wasp, it is now the Giant Man Wasp and the Hulk in two separate stories. Two great features for the price of one. In this process, we have Giant Man and the Wasp fighting the Beasts of Berlin in order to beat the Dirty Commies as they have to go over the Berlin Wall. It's a very topical story for the time that no longer exists, but how would they know what would be happening right now? Then in his story, we have the Hulk fighting the military. Oh, imagine that. That has never happened before in a Hulk story. Then we have X-Men 7, where the Blob returns and gets recruited by Magneto for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants to fight against the X-Men. A fun story. It's still the mustache twirling evil Magneto, but Claremont won't be coming for about a decade. So actually, a little less than that, I think. So that's that. Then we have Avengers 8, where we have the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror, who attacks the Avengers in order to conquer the past. He's already in control of the future, so why not rule the past as well? If you guys are curious, hopefully they're going to do something about the Kang situation in the MCU where another actor plays him. But I'd hate to lose him as a villain because he's such a great villain. He wasn't so much in the Ant-Man movie, but that's not his fault. That's more writing's fault. Then we have Fantastic Four 31, where they fight against the Mole Men once more. And in through that, Jonathan Storm, Sue and Johnny's father, appears for the first time, creating a little web of mystery there about why has he been gone, what's been going on in his life. Very compelling stuff. Then we have Sergeant Fury number 10, where instead of being in the Western Front, they move over to the Pacific Front, and Fury and the Howling Commandos prepare for the invasion of Okinawa. And I think this is actually one of the few times we can place historically exactly where they're at, which is kind of fun in a weird way. Stan and Jack for the most part were having fun. But what was this Jack? I'd have to look it up again. Who was drawing this? So there's that. Then Strange Tales 125, we have the Human Torch and the Thing fighting against Namor the Submariner after being seemingly spurned by some newsmen and reporters. And then after that, we have Doctor Strange fighting Baron Mordo when he kidnaps the Ancient One. That one's a way better story. Imagine that, the Doctor Strange story being better than the Human Torch story. And I say this as someone who loves Johnny. He just didn't have the best luck as far as writing for Strange Tales. And finally, we have Tales of Suspense 59, where Iron Man is tricked by the Chameleon and Kraven into fighting against Captain America, who is being impersonated by the Chameleon. A very fun story. One of those villains like, wait, the Chameleon and Kraven fought Iron Man and Captain America that early on? Yes, they did. And it was a very fun story. So that's it for that. We will now get into Amazing Spider-Man 17. And in so doing, we start with Peter reminiscing about, the Green Goblin. He kind of got away the last time. I don't really know what's going on with him. We get some very interesting panels where deliberately we are not shown the Green Goblin's face. Of course, we know who it is now, but this was part of the huge mystery buildup back in the day. And as Peter is in school, he starts hearing that Flash is starting a new club, and everyone's invited to join except for him. And it's a Spider-Man fan club. And I apologize, I'm dealing with allergies right now. So if you hear some sniffling like that, that's exactly what it is. And of course, Peter can't join, even though Liz really, because she got the hot for him right now, wants him to join too. And Peter's like, nope, I'm not doing it. Of course, Liz gets mad at Flash again and calls him strictly from Doleville. And Liz schemes to try and find a way to get Peter Parker into the club. She got the crazy guys going on there, straight from Ditko. As Peter is moving on, he sees what looks to be a robbery, gets into costume to take them down, only to find out that these are indeed actors. And instead of there being anything obvious, like a bunch of cameras around for him to see what was going on here or, being roped off, of course, Peter Parker has to make the mistake, and Spider-Man's reputation is ruined even more. People are talking about how he's getting too big for his britches, and Peter getting upset. Naturally so, as is often the case for him. Uh, we go to the next page where Jolly Jonah is having the laugh of his life at how Spider-Man's credibility is being ruined. He's making a laughing stock of himself again. Um, Betty notices that Peter is upset and tells him that Jonah tells him that he wants. He's so happy to see him. That I want you to finish writing this anti-Spider-Man editorial. Betty wants to leave with Peter. They do, and they have a nice moment where Betty is honest with him, like, "Hey, why does she care so much about Spider-Man? He's saved her life 3 times in the past." And Peter's like, "Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have been saying the things I've been saying." And that is, of course, when things go worse, Liz Allen has seen them walking together. That makes Betty mad. It makes Liz upset. They have some catty dialogue about each other where Liz tells her that she's putting on weight, even though she looks exactly the same. And we see the Spider Man fan club. Flash, of course, is angry because she's not showing him attention. So the two of them, well, the four of them together are discussing the Spider Man fan club. And Flash really doesn't want someone like Peter involved because Spider-Man, he's the greatest guy in the world and he's all heart. He performed at a circus for charity last month. He won't let his loyal fans down, which is a nice callback to the last issue. And Peter is mixed right now in his emotions. Like, Flash hates me, loves Spider-Man, and he's not wrong. I did those things. So, you know what? Peter even tells him, something tells me you're right, Flash. And that Betty and Liz have some more catty dialogue together, just the worst of enemies right now. And Peter's spider sense goes off as the mysterious person who is the Green Goblin is walking around in broad daylight. You think with the cornrows and whatever, not cornrows. What is Osborn's hair? That weird hair he has. It's very different than any hairstyle I've ever looked at. He had noticed him, but you know what that is? He doesn't know who he is at this point in time. That's fine. It adds to the mystery. His spider sense continues to go off, and he then leaves, making Betty upset because she wanted to go with him to the Spider-Man fan club meeting, and he can't obviously do that with her because he is Spider-Man. So he tries to track down who he thinks is the person responsible for this, and unfortunately, he sees a gunman running away. Before he can switch in a costume, the Human Torch appears and takes care of the problem. And he sees all the adoring fans of the Human Torch, the Fantastic Four, beloved by the people for the most part, unless the story has to say otherwise. Peter, of course, very upset. And uh, Johnny, not knowing who this is, tells him, "Hey, I noticed you hanging around. You're too shy to ask me. Here's my autograph." because he's just all heart. And Peter, of course, is angry. Johnny is completely oblivious to it because why would he think this is Spider-Man? Peter tries to give the Spider-Man's autograph to a kid who then calls him a nut for thinking he'd ever want to do that. So some great comedy by Lee and Ditko there of the ironies that we the audience know who these two people are. The characters don't know. Outside of Peter does know, but Johnny doesn't know. It's amazing. Then we flash over to the Bugle where Jameson has heard about the Spider-Man fan club because they put an ad in his own paper, which he's willing to take the money for it. So that's kind of on him. And he decides he's going to go there and find some way to put a tamper on that club because those kids, those teenagers, they don't know what they're talking about. Because Spider-Man can even be more popular than the Beatles. So they both he and Betty are going to go there, hoping that Peter's going to be there. And we go to Peter's house, and Aunt May is there, telling him that she's arranged a date with the lovely Mary Jane Watson, and Peter is naturally upset because he's got a girlfriend right now. He's already messing with the abyss that is his love life, and now he's dealing with this love triangle here. The last thing he needs to make it a love rectangle, which of course is just how the soap opera esque things happen in comics. And unfortunately, Mary Jane has gotten another bad cold and she can't go out tonight. And Peter, of course, shows concern for her, which makes Aunt May very happy. And, that she promises Anna Watson that, they'll just have to do it another time. It's not her fault. And the buildup we get here to, I think I've probably talked about this before, to the reveal of Mary Jane Watson in 46, which is about 30 some issues from now, is really great because the expectations you get about she must be this like absolute beast of a woman who couldn't get anyone outside of being an arranged date. And then you meet the smoking supermodel bombshell that is Mary Jane Watson later on. Not to spoil something that happens way beyond what happened in the past. It's such the expectations are really done well. I really would have liked to have seen Ditko's interpretation of her, given that unfortunately around 38 and 39 they finally split for good, he and Lee. But Romina does his work well, so there's that. We can go over to the grand ballroom of the Avenue Dinner Club, where the people are gathered for this fan club meeting, and Spider-Man does indeed show up. And once again, it's just all you have to do to get Spider-Man to show up at your location is to put an ad in the paper, and of course, everyone reads the paper. No one would ever not read the paper today, and he's going to show up because Peter's just that nice of a guy. I forget to put this panel in there. The Green Goblin throws an electrically charged toy frog to his web line to break it. As he busts into the party, people are like, "What's going on?" It was hard part of the show. Johnny Storm is there with his girlfriend, Doris Evans, and the Green Goblin tells him it's time to give him a show. The two of them fight each other. He uses his little blast that he has. I can't remember. The Goblin Sparks is what he calls them. A very early prototype of Jubilee in that regard. Spider-Man, of course, avoids it being faster than this, and Jonah's like, where the heck is what's going on here? The fans are eating this up. He's got to find some way to spoil this. Betty's worried where Peter is. He and Green Goblin and Spider-Man continue to brawl one another. Sorry, these allergies really kill me. And this equips some jokes, and Flash is cheering him on. But Liz is starting to get suspicious, wondering, every time Spider-Man's here, Peter Parker isn't. And Peter's got to thinking, so he gets away for a bit as he tries to, as the Human Torch does intervene in the fight, causing him to almost get whipped up. But thankfully, he's not using his asbestos webbing against him. So the three of them are in this little melee between all of them. Spider-Man gets away. There's some crooks that are trying to break in or something, so they showed up, and that's about it. Peter appears. Liz sees him. Flash sees him. Uh, Betty sees him. Of course, misunderstanding again. It's not his fault, but it kind of is. Meanwhile, the Human Torch is continuing to fight against um, the Green Goblin in the midst of all this, wondering where the heck did Spider-Man go? He was here like 5 seconds ago, and then Peter rushes away again, so he can get back in a costume again in a problem that he never would have caused if he just stayed as Spider-Man. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the Prowler around to suit up as Spider-Man and be in amongst his friends so they can throw this thing off that way. But it is what it is. So he gets involved in the fight once more, fighting against the Green Goblin. But of course, in that's what I'm looking for here. In conveniences of conveniences, one of the people there is called because, of course, Peter Parker would be at the Spider-Man fan club meeting. There'd be no reason to think he'd be anywhere else in the world. That hey, his Aunt May is in the hospital after suffering another heart attack. Let's read those words: another heart attack. Is there anyone out there who has worse luck with her health than this poor woman, this poor fragile woman who can't go 5 issues without having some deathly disease or heart attack or what have you afflicting her? So Spider-Man runs off because Peter is very upset. And in order to set this issue up where everyone thinks that he's a coward, he's got to run away. And of course, Jameson is happy. And tomorrow's headline is going to be Spider-Man turns chicken. Never changed, Jonah. The Green Goblin manages to mess with the Human Torch, where he's able to get away. Peter is changing out of his costume, and Doris, for once in her life, is not catty and upset with Johnny, and praises him for saving people. And Johnny's like, he doesn't understand what could have made him run away, because from what everyone knows, they were winning the fight for the most part. So he suddenly runs away. What's going on? Jameson, of course, is very happy. He's going to go print an extra for the paper, telling what a coward Spider-Man is. And, Betty's like, I could never trust Peter again. And Liz is upset because he left. And Flash is like, hey, we got to organize things to the Spider-Man fan club. But everyone leaves because, he's a coward. He just left the fight. And that's the worst thing you can be in the Marvel Universe at this point in time is a coward of any sort. If you run away, you're a coward. You don't deserve to be a hero that anyone appreciates. But only Flash is a true believer. And he's going to maintain the fan club because they're all going to see one day that Spider-Man is a real hero, which once again just provides a nice dynamic between the two of them, of Peter and Flash, and this puny Parker could never be anything like the great and amazing Spider-Man when they're one and the same. And it's so wonderful and amazing to have that dichotomy between the two of them. So moving on from there, we do get to the final panels, the final page, where it is revealed that Aunt May is okay-ish for her state at this time. And, he's just happy to see her. And of course, after visiting the hours have ended, the Daily Bugle has printed Spider-Man a coward on the front page. And people are talking about how Spider-Man is a terrible person. Peter is upset. And of course, because, Betty thinks he went there with Liz. Liz is upset because he left her. Everyone thinks he's a coward. He's yellow. The Green Goblin got away. What is he supposed to do? And he throws his Spider-Man costume away, not away permanently like he will in several issues from now, but at the wall in a very mix of his conflict. Spider-Man is ruining my life. And yet at the same time, I can't deny this great power and great responsibility. What am I supposed to do with this life I have if I can't get what I want? Which is done amazingly well. Such a fun issue. I haven't put the letters pages up here, but some of the kooky ideas people have for the actual identity of the Green Goblin, which, to be fair, Norman Osborn hasn't shown up yet. So how could they guess a person they don't know exists? Some think he's the Vulture in disguise. He's one of his teachers or stuff like that. It's a really, really fun fight there. So even at that point in time, people are speculating, who could this be? What's going on? Is he someone that Spider-Man knows? and eventually that answer will be correct. So, as far as this issue is concerned, it is as much as I had fun with it, it's not the best. The contrived coincidences that we have here of, it just so happens that Peter overhears Liz while he's Spider-Man wondering where Peter Parker is. So he leaves the first time, then the second time he just happens to overhear a conversation where someone has called the Spider-Man fan club there about Aunt May falling down from another heart attack. So he leaves panicked about her. It's a bit much. It's not the worst thing in the world. There's certainly way worse Spider-Man issues out there, and I mean the current Spider-Man run, where I don't know if I've ever graded anything when I've graded this one a 7.5. Like, they're kind of really, really bad. But enough about the future, which will be forever from now to get there. So that's it for this one. This is a fun one. It's had a nice guest star. The Human Torch and Spider-Man, their relationship is a really fun build-up. Building up the mystery around who the Green Goblin could be is really interesting. I'm looking forward to more of that. Like, obviously, I know who it is. I know the reveal. I've read these before, but it's still really well played. If I were reading this month to month or week to week, as we happen to do here, I would be hyped to know more, and I am, even knowing the answer. So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you for what you do. Continue to just like and share. Subscribe to our channel if you're a first time listener here. We really enjoy having you guys here. Please leave a comment below if there's anything that's like on your mind about all this. You want me to answer more? I'm more than willing to do that. I do go back on the other videos to see if anyone else has left anything to answer those questions if need be. So until next time, webheads. See ya.